Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. We'll be taking you through how to build a community of ambassadors with focus on vetting, verifying and validating. So who we are, in a nutshell, Freestak is an online platform that allows brands to connect with content creators and influencers within the endurance and outdoor sports sector. So currently, our community is made up of 1,800 influencers within our network, with a combined reach of 32 million across their platforms. This is just a snapshot of some of the clients that we do currently work with and have worked with in the past. So in case you are not aware of who we are, here's just a little bit of background about us. So as an influencer marketing agency, initially, we saw that influence marketing was becoming ever so popular with and becoming a bit of a common addition to brands' advertising plans. So we saw a gap in the market where companies were using lots of their resource to manually scroll through and track content creators' data across multiple influence campaigns. Obviously, this was very extremely time-consuming for advertisers and became a key challenge that brands were facing. So in light of that, and in light of brands using their workforce capacity to search, monitor and track hundreds of content creators and influencer accounts on a daily basis, we developed a tech solution to combat these challenges. So to manage influencer marketing campaigns, remove the time-consuming function of manually searching across social to recruit and monitor, we built Freestak. So our niche allows us to stand out from the crowd because we focus on outdoor sports and endurance sector. So obviously this allows us to have a really good pool of quality content creators who remain authentic and have passion for this market and drive to produce good quality content for brands that they love. So we've seen a bit of a turn in tides recently, as many other companies are also offering data capture. But obviously Instagram stories is something that we have built recently. So it allows us to track all story data in Instagram and allows us more of a thorough evaluation on content creators' activity. Growth in content creators using different platforms has also seen a boom, such as the likes of content creators on Strava, YouTube and Twitter. So we now integrate a lot of tracking across multiple platforms such as these because we realize brands actually need to monitor their influencers across the board. So now just moving on to our agenda. Your hosts for today will be myself, Amy and Laura. So agenda. Initially, we're going to be looking at identifying authentic influencers, deciding which influencers are right for your brand, recognizing an organic, authentic audience and detecting fake followers. We'll be looking at reach versus engagement, so the power of authentic engagement over a big follower number. We'll be looking at influencer screening tools, so how to screen and authenticate potential ambassadors. We'll also be looking at contacting potential ambassadors, so the information to provide them and the key questions to ask, and what brands need to know before signing an ambassador. So now over to Laura to take you through how to authenticate influencers.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to start out by talking a bit about how to identify authentic influencers for your brand and ambassador programs. Some key points to remember in order to ensure that your potential ambassadors have an organic following, and a few tips on how to spot inauthentic followers. So once you've come across an influencer you like, the first step would be to identify whether this influencer is right for your brand and your ambassador program through somewhat analyzing their feed. So if you're looking for runners, does their feed predominantly reflect this? Look through their photos, captions. Are they motivating their followers? Are followers leaving comments and engaging? This not only shows their passion for that sport, but signifies that their followers share that same interests, which confirms for the brand that they're targeting the right audience. Look at their posting frequency. How often do they post? Do they post on a regular basis? Someone less active on social media who posts every few months may not be the best candidate and could be a sign of less connectivity to their followers. Have a look at any existing brand partnerships, whether it's clearly labeled in their bio or through paid partnership posts on their feed. Do you need them to be exclusive? Are there current collaborations could be competing with your brand? These are just some questions to ask when you're looking through their feed. And look at how dominated their feed is with branded content. Do you want to work with someone who includes a lot of different sponsored content in every post, or someone who creates more of a natural mix of sponsored content within their personal post? Another important step in vetting your influencers is ensuring they have an organic and real following. In a recent questionnaire, we surveyed 120 influencers and found that 73% do not filter or screen their following for fake accounts. So it's important for brands to do this when vetting potential influencers to work with in order to ensure their audience is authentic. And you can do this by inspecting their following manually or using different screening tools, which I'll go over later in the presentation. Also making sure there's a natural growth in their following, that there's no spikes or drops in followers, which screening tools can detect. Make sure their audience is engaged, that followers are not only just liking the content, but they're commenting as well. And compare their followers versus following. Strong influencers should have a higher number of followers than accounts that they're following. So if they're following a high number of accounts, this could indicate mass following or follow for follow attempts, which can mean they aren't growing their following organically, and their audience may not be as invested in their content. So when you're looking through their following, there's a few ways you can check for authenticity. Look at their following versus engagement. If they have a high following but low engagement, this can be a sign that they bought followers. Browse through their followers directly. Look for suspicious accounts, any empty profiles with no photo or posts. Also monitor for spikes in followers, like whether you already have them as an ambassador or you want to keep an eye on them for a little bit to see if you'd like them to join. But keeping that consistent eye on the influencer, making note of their following and paying attention to the growth of it. Read through the comments. Are the comments genuine? Do they relate directly to the photo or caption? Or are there irrelevant one-word comments or emojis that don't really make sense? This can indicate bots. Use audience screening tools. Human screening can detect a lot, but screening tools that analyze the influencer's audience a bit more are very helpful as well. This is a post from one of our influencers who shared some of her struggles with erasing, and it just shows how connected her followers are through the comments and the support they have for her. So this is the type of engagement that you want to look for versus posts with just a bunch of likes or irrelevant comments. Next, I'm going to talk about the importance of engagement and some basic guidelines when it comes to an influencer's engagement rate. So the Influencer Marketing Hub analyzed over 100,000 influencer profiles and developed a chart that you can see here of the average engagement rates based on an influencer's following. So the results show that as an influencer's following increases, their engagement rate decreases. And this is a big reason why we focus on working with micro and nano influencers here at Freestak. This is a bit of a guideline to reference when looking at influencers to ensure they are reaching, that your brand is reaching, the industry averages when working with these influencers. And also, here are some overall goals to target for in order to get the most for your investment in the influencer. So there's a couple ways you can calculate engagement rate. One is by dividing the total engagements, likes, and comments by the total impressions, which is the number of times the content has been seen, or by dividing the engagement by the number of followers, which is what these averages and goals reflect here. So if you're looking to work with more nano influencers under 10,000 followers, it's good to stay above 5% engagement rate. Smaller micro influencers, 3 to 4%, and then if you're moving up to 50 to 100,000 follower micro influencers, 2 to 3%. If it's important for your brand to work with macro influencers above 100,000, it's good to stay at least above 2%, and keeping in mind that these influencers will most likely require a higher form of payment. So Fabian is one of our nano influencers on the platform, and he's really great engagement. He has just under 3,000 followers, a 22% average engagement rate, and 653 average engagements per post. That's including likes and comments. And according to the average engagement rates from the Influencer Marketing Hub report on the previous slide, as a nano influencer, his engagement rates per post average about the same for someone with 30,000 followers. So for an ambassador program, he's a very cost-efficient influencer to add. And another thing to keep in mind with nano and micro influencers is that with the brand support of being an ambassador, this can also help to grow their following. So Fabian, for example, had a 20% increase in his following since becoming a Run ambassador in February. Annette is one of our micro influencers with about 10,000 followers, who also has very high engagement through her feed. And as a comparison with an influencer who has 100,000 followers, referencing to that Influencer Marketing Hub chart again, using the average engagement rate of 1.1% for someone with 100,000 followers, the average engagements per post would be about 1,100 for that mega influencer, which turns out to be less than Annette's. So the point here is that it's much more common to see higher engagement rates for nano and micro influencers that can provide the same or higher engagements per post as a high following influencers. And now I'm going to go over just a couple of the main influencer screening tools that you can use to help authenticate potential ambassadors that you'd want to work with. Hype Auditor is one we use a lot at Freestak. It's a paper screening tool that provides a lot of variety of information. It provides an overall audience quality score, which combines an influencer's audience quality, engagement rate, and authenticity into one number. So that's a good first number to check out just to get a quick screening of the influencer. It has detection for fake followers and also shows follower charts in order to see the growth flow of an influencer's audience to make sure it's authentic and growing organically. So, and the quality of engagement is also provided to show engagement ratios and authenticity. And some other helpful data provides audience insights. So if you're looking for influencers with followers in a specific location or age range, the charts provide that information for you. Upfluence is another one we use quite often. It's a free screening tool that you can install directly into your browser, and it allows for 10 profile views per day, and you can also upgrade for more. But it provides a lot of the similar data to Hype Auditor on a somewhat smaller scale, so including an overall rating percentage for the influencer, audience insights, and average engagement rates. It also provides a suggested price for the influencer, though there's a lot of other factors to take into consideration, and we've actually gone through some in our previous webinar on payments and incentives, which you can access through our LinkedIn channel if you want to hear a bit more about that. And finally, you can view comparison charts with ratings to see where the influencer performs compared to similar accounts. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Amy, who's going to talk a bit about how to contact potential investors that you want to work with.
Hi, everyone. So when contacting and recruiting potential ambassadors, you need to ensure all communication is obviously clear alongside any of your campaign objectives, audience messaging, obligations, and timelines. So a general checklist would be the following information to provide them. So a brief background on brief background on your brand and overall business objectives, and your mission statement is always a little one. Potentially you could add that, because obviously it gives them some form of understanding of how to believe in your brand as much as you do. Not all influencers may be keen to do any odd work. So obviously they have to already have a passion for what you're trying to sell in your product. And, your mission statement is obviously something that you can help that with. So what the opportunity and product on offer would actually be to an audience, what you require from them, and overall influencer obligations, such as number of posts and stories, alongside expectations on consistent engagement rates above a certain average. Clarity on tags to use, such as brand tags and legal sponsored content or paid partnership tags. Obviously, that one's really, really key. So when the collaboration would take place and the key dates they would need to attend. So if you have any kickoff events or promotional events or any reviews, obviously, because that would be a key one as well, so that they are very clear on when the review period would take place. Why you want to work with them, so how you feel they could add value to your brand. Obviously, that also helps them understand that you have been following them and watching what they produce, which is a bit more of a personal touch to your communication with them, because it obviously shows that you have really looked at who they are as a brand and you think that they fit with your brand. Any key information about exclusivity, such as brands in your competitive set, which would completely cannibalize your brand or your product or your share of voice. So general questions to ask would be, do they have existing partnerships with anyone else, and what other brands activity do they have coming up? Have they been an ambassador before? What would they expect in terms of payment? Obviously, that would be sort of driven by the first question of how have they been an ambassador before? Have they had experience in that realm? Are they happy with the overall requirements and expectations from you to them? Also, are they happy with the legal tags and posting obligations? Obviously, it's a massive red flag if they're not. Do they have a content calendar to help them achieve this? It's quite interesting when you come across someone who's never had an ambassadorship before and they have no idea what a content calendar is. They're just they've just naturally grown their engagements and followers. So that's always a key one to ask. And what is their availability in case they do have other work obligations? A lot of influencers, as you can understand, have full-time jobs alongside doing this on the side. So, if we go on to the conclusion, that's to wrap it up, really. So to conclude, we hope that from obviously today, we've been helpful with the information that we provided you, and basically to use it as a best practice guidelines on how to build a community of ambassadors and content creators. So to summarize, what we spoke about on this webinar today was searching for the right ambassadors and getting it right from the get-go obviously takes time. Integrating real authentic influencers with genuine engagements is key. Influencers with large following numbers are not necessarily the best or most efficient addition to help spread your brand message. Influencer screening tools are essential for background checks to ensure who you choose for your campaign is obviously highly relevant. Open communication is crucial to form an honest partnership with all stakeholders involved, since the ambassadorship will benefit both parties in endorsing each other. So how we can help you? We can help you manage your existing ambassador and content creator relationships. We can provide management of influence campaigns and ambassador programs to track obligations and performance. We obviously have the network of 1,800 pre-vetted authentic endurance and outdoor experts in content creation. We can assist you with finding influencers, ambassadors, or content creators to help communicate to your target audience. So for a limited time, we are actually offering 50% off the first 3 months, in which you only really have to commit to 1 month to access this offer. So what's next? We've got another webinar coming up this Thursday at 4 p.m. British Summer Time. So we'll be hearing from Rupa Shah on the latest regulations around influencer marketing and myself. So that's it really, guys. If you have any questions, please shoot us a message. We'll stay on for another minute or so in case anyone has any questions coming through. Otherwise, you can email us at amy@freestak.com or laura@freestak.com. But thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.